What's up? It's Ashlyn Makes Food, and today we are making a green juice. This is my favorite green juice, and it actually tastes good. It doesn't taste like you're drinking your greens. It tastes amazing. So let's make it. Make sure to check out the description of this video for a full list of the ingredients and measurements. I've been making juices for about 8 years, which sounds crazy now that I say it out loud. It seems like it was just yesterday that I learned how to make juices. I was hired as a general manager of a juice bar, and that's where I learned how to make juice. It was such a fun job because I got to just make juices and smoothies and acai bowls all day long, and the smell inside of that juice bar, OMG, it smells so good. So whenever I juice, it really brings me back in time because it just makes my house smell just like that juice shop did. Of course, that juice bar had their own recipes, but honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of the standard recipes. Every shift I got a shift drink, so I was able to make a new juice every day. We had our regular customers that would come in, and this juice was actually one of the regulars' favorite juices. This customer was my favorite because he came in every day and ordered 32 ounces of this juice. So eventually I'm like, okay, I need to try this juice out. If he's coming in every day and drinks them both, obviously it's delicious, so I need to give this a shot. And here we are 8 years later, and I am still making this juice because it is that good. JJ, if you're watching this, thank you for such a delicious juice recipe. I love it. Before I get started juicing, I always wash my produce. I will normally get my produce just from my nearby grocery store, but this time I got it from Trader Joe's, and the produce was actually super clean. I was pretty surprised because normally it's pretty dirty and I have to wash it several times, but this produce was pre-cleaned, but I still wanted to give it that extra clean just so I was sure that there wasn't going to be any type of dirt or fertilizer or any of that other stuff that could be on it. You could wash your produce with a produce wash. However, white vinegar will work just as well. You'll just want to put in about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons per bowl of water. Then I'll just wash the produce together and then dump it out and wash it with clean water, and you'll want to do that until the water is coming out clean and you don't see any extra dirt or anything left in that water. Once you're done washing it all, I like to put it on a towel, that way the extra water can drain off. All of our produce is washed and prepped, so we are ready to get juicing. Now this is where it gets fun and makes your kitchen smell amazing. This is a skill that I learned from that juice bar. We want to cut as much of the rind off that we can, while leaving as much of the white as possible. The white is going to hold a ton of nutrients and fiber, so we would like to add that into the juice instead of just cutting it off and throwing it away. The more you cut the rind like this, the easier it will be. It actually gets pretty fun once you kind of get the hang of it. You'll just want to take it slow at first so that way you don't cut yourself. I don't know about you, but I love lemon, so of course I had to give this a shot. Depending on the size of your juicer and the type, you may not need to cut your apples into quarters, but my produce chute is pretty small, so I actually can't fit anything whole into it. I need to cut it all up into smaller pieces. An ingredient that a lot of people don't necessarily love in their juice is ginger. If you stick with the small amount of about a 1-inch piece of ginger, you shouldn't really taste it that much, but if you are sensitive to ginger or you're not a huge fan of it, you could also opt out of it. that. I personally really like ginger, so I tend to add a little bit extra. Quick side note, adding a trash bag to your pulp catch is going to make your cleanup so much easier. Once you're done, you can just take that bag out and throw it away. If you want to be a little bit less wasteful, you could also save that pulp and make other things with it. I personally have never done that, but I know that you can make some pulp chips or other types of things with that pulp. When you're juicing, always start with your strongest ingredient first. You may have noticed not much ginger came out of the juicer when I put the ginger in, but there are remnants of that ginger still inside of the juicer, so as I juice the other ingredients, we're still going to be getting more of that ginger. It's also helpful to put your strongest ingredient in first. That way it doesn't transfer into your next juice if you plan on making another juice after this one. Greens don't have that much juice, so you can really add in however much you would like. If you really wanted to get the most nutrients from your juice, you could remove the strainer and just keep all of that excess pulp into your juice. This would be comparable to like high pulp orange juice versus low pulp orange juice. I personally prefer the low pulp as I don't really want a thick juice. After you dump out that pulp, wash your strainer. I promise that is just greens from the strainer. Keeping your strainer low on pulp is going to make it so much easier for you to juice. If you start to get a buildup of pulp on your strainer, you'll notice your juice is no longer going through the strainer and your pulp is preventing it from going through the fine mesh. If you start to get a buildup, I would recommend grabbing out a spoon and just swifting through that juice, and then you'll start to unlock that mesh strainer again and the juice should start going through it again. If you notice your juice coming out is super pulpy and barely any juice, that means that the actual grinder inside of the juicer has too much pulp in it and it needs to be sprayed out. So you may need to do that if you're making several juices. If you are planning on making several juices, I would recommend to store them in a mason jar and then put them in the freezer as soon as possible. This way the juice has little time to oxidize, so you'll get the most out of your nutrients. If you're using a cold pressed juice, you can leave that in the fridge for 3 to 4 days and your nutrients will still be in there. I really like my juice cold, so I always pour my juice over ice, but it is still really good when it's just room temp. Just make sure to drink it within 2 hours of juicing. Since we're using green apples in this juice, it is pretty tart, but if you wanted it to be sweeter, I would recommend using red apples or half and half to get a more subtle flavor. You'll notice that the juice will start to separate, and that is totally normal. Just mix it up and you're good to go. I'm terrible at coming up with names for recipes, so if you can leave a comment down below with a suggested name for this recipe, I would absolutely love that. Otherwise, we'll just call this green juice. Let's give this a shot. Yum. This juice is totally customizable into what you like. If you want a little bit more tangy, spicy juice, add in some extra ginger. If you would like it to be a little bit sweeter, you could switch the green apples for red apples. There are so many ways to make this the way you want it. Give this a shot. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more yummy recipes every week. Have a happy day, and I will see you next time. Cheers!